Okay, this is less complicated than see. How is it that this is easier than Facebook? Facebook is a nightmare, and I think I might also test out Instagram and see, because I think you could also go live on Instagram, right? So it'll be something interesting, I guess. So create. There we go. So you could go live on Instagram. Connect streaming software. Okay. So you actually have to have like a streaming software for Instagram. That's kind of dumb. All right. So who's there? Actually, I'm not seeing anyone. Uh, Hello. I am streaming just to hang out with subscribers that are online. So I don't know exactly if anyone's there. I think I'm gonna download OBS just so I could stream. I guess comfortably, because it's I like the interaction. So um, hello, Sean. What's up? Gosh, you know, if there were more people now, I have like something very interesting to show. You know, um, what do you call this? When I used to work for this company, right? And then uh, there'd be like prototypes of colors, sizes, or whatever. And then I actually found a plastic bag full of stuff that they sent me to use, right? So, and I realized that only one of the colors actually got released. So, like this, um, two colors got released. So there's the oops. So, these are all Soran heavy minnows, and these colors were actually not part of the standard. Um, and I think this size also is different. So this is the 75S. There's the 90, and then um, we were making samples for a client, right? Um, and look at this. This is kind of different. The lip, how it's made, right? So this one's kind of different. And then um, there's different samples of different configurations. I just wanted to show you guys this because it's something different, and not a lot of people see this part. So, like, take for example, there's this color variation, there's that color variation. See, and then this is slightly different as well. And then there's that. Hello, Matthias. So yeah, that's and they sent me these, and actually have to put them in a separate bag now because this one's broken. But whoa, these are brand new, and some of these colors obviously did not make it, or one color did not make it to production. It's pretty cool, and as you can see, it's like clearly labeled there, fishing samples. So you get stuff like this, just to use and for marketing purposes, right? And then you're free to do whatever you want, basically. Um, Mess around with it, break it, whatever. But it was pretty interesting. What's funny is that if when it gets released, right, and then you need a batch so that you could actually kind of use them and stuff like that. Sometimes they don't give it to you, so you have to come out of your pocket to buy, especially when it becomes like really in demand. So yeah. Oh, hi, John. Wow, that's nice. Vanuatu, huh? See, this was the right decision to actually just go live at a random time because um, actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to go live was to interact with subscribers and, just hanging out with you guys because most of the time we don't get to interact. Um, so I don't know exactly which time to go live to be able to reach quite a few of you guys. So I have been going live at random times, and right now it's like in the middle of the morning here in the UAE. Matthias, I'm actually in the UAE, the UAE as well. I moved from Dubai to Al Quwain. Way better here, man. So yeah, um, they're actually heavy minnows, Sean. So each of them, it's like I think the biggest one is like 40 grams, and then the one in the middle is like, or wait, I think I think the what do you call it? What is that thing? Is that dog fur? Yeah, like the dogs are under the desk. Oh God. Um, they were deep minnows. You could actually look for them. They're pretty good. They're called So Run Heavy Minnow by Storm, and these guys they catch a lot of. I've caught a lot of fish on these, and they're heavy, so they cast far, and they swim great. And the funny thing about this is that you just cast them out and reel it in. It already has like a really good action, and we use them a lot for quite a few species of fish here, and they're cheap. John, actually, I have a few flies that I tie. Once I brush the dogs, and then they shed a lot. So I keep them in plastic bags, and I actually make flies out of the hair. So yeah, and they work. They work really well. In fact, um, I shouldn't be saying this. There's actually fly tying material that's dog hair, and it's from China. And a lot of people are thinking that they're probably uh, uh, like I don't know. I guess just for their conscience, they're thinking that it's a different type of fur, but it's actually dog fur. I think it's called temple dog, but it's actually from like real dogs. Uh, Gibran, how we can decide to use heavy or light tackle on a boat? It depends, really. There's no one or there's no rule that uh, stops you from using light or heavy tackle on a boat. That's really on your decision. That's a decision that you're gonna have to make. Okay. Um, what usually happens for us is we have to decide on what we catch, and that kind of dictates the tackle that we use. Like, take for example, if I'm on a kayak, okay, and I decide to catch trevallies. There are some instances where I would need or some conditions where I would need like very light tackle. Okay, so these guys, and these are ultralight rods and reels that I use. Small reel, small rod. So in instances like that, it would be a very good example would be when the current's dead. Okay, when there's hardly any current, and you're able to actually sink small jigs. So we use, let's say, 3 grams. Okay, um, a 3 gram jig, something like this. Okay, and then you're able to sink it down with light tackle. Now in low current situations, normally the fish don't bite. Hello, Andy. 7:55 p.m. Oahu, Hawaii. Thank you very much. That's very good information. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that's actually the reason why I wanted to go live and then see exactly who's around. If there's a lot of people, then I can actually kind of schedule things around so that we'll be able to reach like a bigger audience. Because I really like interacting with you guys, right? So this is good. All right. Anyway, so uh, Gibran. Okay. Now, in instances like this, it's either on a boat or on a kayak, and you're able to. It's dead. There's no bites, no nothing. It's a very good time for ultralight fishing off the boat. Okay. Now, when you're targeting bigger fish, there's let's say tuna that's that's boiling in front of you and stuff like that. Then yeah, you're gonna have to use heavier tackle. Uh, it could be that you're on a boat, you're going after, say, spangled emperor snappers or any snapper grouper of that type. They don't require tackle that's too big. So yeah, they have Kawasaki, Kensaki, and Koika jigs in 80 to 120 gram. That's cool, John. That's cool. While I was working with Raps, we used to call the Kensaki. This was pre-release actually, and I was part of the field testing team for the Kensaki. Um, we used to call it KFC. It's like Kensaki fried chicken because it's just like anything eats it, So while we were testing it, I was catching on the same jig. I was catching dorado. I was catching tuna. What else? I was catching snapper and all this. The funny thing about the Kensaki is that the 80 gram is like it goes all the way down to 40. I think I have some here, like the small ones. Um, the original size for the Kensaki is actually like 100 plus, all the way to like 280, I believe. And initially they didn't want the smaller ones, but then there was a need for it, so the size extensions were actually made. But when they were first introduced, the Koika is another very I think the hallmark for Storm or Rapala products for that matter is that when they create a lure, they make it very easy to use. So the Kensaki, the Koika, they're very easy to use, I have to say. And those are the two jigs that were kind of like the pillars for me, because I only literally had like 4 jigs to use for my marketing while I was working for them. So and the Kansaki was very easy to use. My favorite was actually the pink. The only thing I didn't really like about selling those, because I was in charge for the whole Middle East, right? The feedback was always the paint, and even the guys over at the factory know this. That the paint job on those jigs are not so good. Um, the most useful for me, the most useful sizes are actually the ones that have the the top end, which is like 200, 250, and then the low end, which was at that time 15, 15, 20. Those are the most useful sizes. I think the usefulness for me was like 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 40, 60. and then 80 all the way to like 150 was kind of like useless, and then 200 and 250, and just because of the place where we fish here, but in the middle we weren't getting a lot of sales, and even for me, well, I used it, um, it wasn't really like effective, but the top end and the bottom end were all really good. Berkeley skid jig, um, actually, uh, the correct the very correct term for the skid jig is Abu Garcia in Japan. That's actually a JDM product, and then in the States they had to like call it something else. So it's nice to know that they're actually importing the skid jig in the US, but that has been out in Japan for at least 10 years. There's even shore jigging versions of the skid jig, which is actually pretty good. And how you work the skid jig is actually different. It's like um, you have to use like a conventional reel, and then the spool, you have to manipulate the spool. You literally do this with the spool. It's a weird thing. Let me get a reel. All right, um, so basically you have to go like this. Okay, so when you're working that jig, okay, you actually go like this, and it has to be like a high speed reel. So you kind of manipulate the spool, and what happens is that the jig actually goes like this. It's crazy because I caught so much tuna on that. You know, I love that I love that jig, but it didn't catch on. It didn't catch on. That's the bad thing about the skid jig, because the the whole process was called skidding, right? So it kind of did catch on, unfortunately. So yeah, but I have to say, it works. So you know, it's one of those things that unfortunately it just did not sit well with the consumers. But as far as the effectivity of the product is concerned, if you use it correctly, it's actually pretty good. But yeah, so that's actually, John. Let me check that. Because I honestly thought that these guys did not even bother uh, taking it to the U.S., which for me was like a real shame. Technique, top water weight baits. I'm in the U.S. website now. Bait type. I don't even see it. Okay, let's type skid. Nope, not even. What the heck? I think it's a limited import, because this is all like freshwater stuff. Fusion 19 bucktail. That's a generic bucktail, but that's pretty good. That can be used. Uh, the good thing about Berkeley is that they can actually create a lot of products that, in theory, can work. Problem with them is that even if it actually works really well, they discontinue a lot of products, and they can. I mean, pure fishing is big. It's right up there with Rapala. Problem with them is that they're also kind of clueless. It's such a shame. Hit stick. So they have like these trolling lures now. They have some really weird scented. I mean, yeah. I think where it lies for them is the soft baits, this is like their bread and butter. Like for me, gulp, that's like up there. Also, what a lot of people don't realize is that they have products that are highly regionalized. So there are some products that they actually sell elsewhere that don't get shown. Like here's one, okay, and this is probably something that a lot of people don't know. I use a lot of like the sandworms, you know, and holy shit, these things work. These things work. 2 inch and 6 inch, yeah. There used to be like really big ones too, but uh, they're they're they were really good. Saltwater sandworm. There it is. So 6 inch. Ah, okay. So yep, 9.99. If I can get my hands on these. Actually, the 4 inch ones were the ones that were really good. And see, it's not for sale in the States, but in Europe, they're sold. Hi, I just obtained my 17 OSHA jigger, but I want to change the handle to a longer one. Yep, good decision. What size is it? I've been searching the web, just can't find suitable one. There's okay. So here's the thing, right? The correct length that you want for your OJ would be the handle for a 2000 OJ. Okay, so 1500. I salute you. That is the what do you call this? That's actually the correct size for 90% of the use. Okay, so um, like for slow jigging. Okay, so Gomexas have what do you call this? Gomexas have handles. Okay, that you could use. Um, the complete set already. So they have like the shaft and then the you know. Now I would actually say that mine. Okay, mine, my OJ 1500 has a Studio Ocean Mark handle. I would not recommend it because it drives the cost of the reel too high. Okay, so look for a Gomexus, or better yet, look for a handle for the 2000 OJ, and that smacks right in just perfectly. And then that's the end of it. Basically, it's just the length for the 2000. Uh, I don't know with Shimano, man. Especially with the even with the newer ones, the handles are still too short. So I don't know what the thought process is for them there. We use Gulf sandworms a lot for West Coast Cali surf perch. Yes, for me, I use them for a lot. There's brim, grunter, uh, even queenfish. I've caught so much on these what do you call this sandworms. I think what's gonna happen is that when the weather turns a bit better, I'm gonna bust out the kayaks. And one of the things that I want to do is actually use these soft plastics out in the middle. And I'm gonna show you guys how I do the ultralight soft plastics in deep water. Very very effective, very very addicting. You catch a mixed bag, and there's several techniques, right? But it's crazy how effective it is, and it's nuts because during the sale, the Digi, on Digi, the price on OJ 15 is just too sweet to pass on, but is a little too big for me. Um, yeah, but if you're slow jigging, also what a lot of people don't realize is that you're using thin line, right? So it's PE2, and PE2 on 2000, it's way too thin, so you have to use backing. That's A. And B, um, the 2000 is actually too heavy. So if you actually use a 1500, say I use it for up to like 200 meters, no problem, and I've caught like a lot on my 1500. Matthias, it would be Barracuda. The Barracuda is the official distributor of Studio Ocean Mark in the UAE. There's a lot of flukes and tube baits offshore. Yeah, flukes. You could use them. I mean, I've caught tuna on flukes. Kevin, hey Kevin. Wow. So this time of day is actually pretty good. Matthias. Hold on. Um, where the heck is it? I have a pair of the pliers, okay, but I want to show you something. All right, so okay, so this is from the factory, sent it to me, and this was like when they introduced out. So um okay, so this is a closer look. I have a video of this, all right, and I just wanted to show you, okay. Take note. Now, on this side, there are cutters. On this side, it's actually rubbers for gripping. So when you're tying knots and stuff like that, you actually use it. This very light, okay. And when you use this, the the middle one is, there's three sizes. The middle one is actually the most useful one, okay. So I'm gonna take one of the plugs here so that I can show you. And just FYI. So the good thing about this is that when you open the split ring, they don't break the split ring. Okay, so there's a space here where you can actually slide the, what do you call this, the split rings onto, and then they grip the, what do you call this, the split rings, and then yeah, then it becomes very easy for you to open the, see, and then they don't break the split ring. Now, it's not for everyone, okay. Some people like it, some people don't, but majority of the time people are actually saying that it's way too expensive for what it is. I agree. um, if I had to buy anything that Studio Ocean Mark, I would say that it is actually quite expensive. Okay, I'm sorry, the dogs are down here. um, However, especially for fishing, you really get what you pay for. So um, I'm not gonna say that all the reels that are expensive are good and everything, but when you talk about Japanese products, there are even levels to them. And as far as Studio Ocean Mark is concerned, it's actually pretty good. And you always get like something else. You know what I mean? So it's uh it's just a pair of pliers, but the innovation that's on those pair of pliers, it's quite crazy. um I think I made, yeah, if you could look around, actually, Matthias, in my channel, I made a video on the pliers, just how to use the, how it's used, the function and everything. So yeah, anyway, I'm not too sure if Barracuda actually has stock for these pliers, because quite honestly, I know that there were only a few pairs that arrived, and a lot of customers that are collectors for Studio Ocean Mark bought quite a few of them. So I'm not too sure if they have what do you call this? They still have stock. The good thing is you could always tell them that you want, and then you can order. They can give the, what do you call this? You can give your number, and then they can arrange for things. So they always have regular shipments from Japan. So telling Studio Ocean Mark, hey, to send us like this. It's easy. So yeah. Sean, question: how do you rig the flukes and tube baits for fishing offshore, and what do you catch with them? Sandworms, man. I actually have a lot, and there's a lot that's still unopened. So but I can't find the skid jigs here. It's weird. There's a few Berkeley lures that I really want to try, and usually, like, especially the ultralight ones. Um, there's a vibe here for like 316. That's a good one. I mean, that's pretty useful. I'm looking for a really small crankbait. I don't know if Berkeley has them, but I'm pretty sure they do. Oh, look at that Sibyl lures. The shape, it's still there. Berkeley actually copies a lot of lures. See, Fritz side 5. So if they were any smaller than these, it would be nice. They have these small packs that are actually pretty cool. They have these walk the dog minnows that are actually pretty cool as well. The Jaywalker. Obviously, there's so many lures here that I could use for Toman if I go home to the Philippines. Jaywalker 100, that's a nice one. Could use that for like bigger fish. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, it's a most expensive thing you could do to get a free meal. Correct. Yep, 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 yep. The dice lure just going wild right now for bass. All major fishing companies. Yeah, I mean, kind of dumb. That's been around for a long time, by the way. People were just keeping it in the wraps because a lot of these tournament pros, I know a few of them, right? And a lot of these tournament pros, um, they always want an edge, okay, and they're constantly looking for shit. And guess what? All of them are actually kind of looking towards Japan. And all of these lures, some of them are so obscure. There's so much of these that are not shown. Oh, here's a cool one. The Jaywalker 100. Yeah, that's it. And then what is this? Hijacker, saltwater proposal. Okay, so that's cool. I like these, like walk the dog minnows. I've been addicted to them for a really long time. They started putting like gulp gel, you know. So this is like in direct competition with Procure. I mean, this segment of the market, the middle market, they actually kill each other here. This is like the what do you call this? The killing fields. As far as the consumer is concerned, this is like the killing fields. I mean, I have fun actually looking around, the websites and just checking to see what they have. Um, See, here's a good one right here. Okay, so if and I know that they're doing this in Japan as well, but they have the forward braid filler spools, right? Of these forward thermally fused finesse braid. Okay, so they have 4 pound test, which is most likely about 8. But if they made something that's thinner, that would have been nice. The fire line. Okay, you see here they have like 300-yard spools, and then you have 6 pound test, which is 2.6 2.7 kg. Funny thing is that this is not, it's actually probably around about 6 pounds. They're about 12 or 10 pounds, the actual breaking strain, probably more. But If you look at uh, bracelet, what do you call this? Bracelet manufacturers or bracelet making, you can actually find thinner than what they're selling for fishing. See, you have 300 yards, okay, of 4 pound test. That's cool. This is probably 8 to 10 as well. Therefore, you know, sometimes what they do is they label one 4, they label another 6. You check, it's the same thing. See there, Fireline pony spool, okay? They have 2 pound, right? These these are like really good for ultralight. Multiple ways to rig, yes. Flukes we use get some jig heads, almost heavy stroke. Trolling, yeah. So typical. Use drop shot for them. Tube baits, pretty simple. Single donkey rig. Yeah. Okay. So it's pretty same. That's pretty standard. I mean, um, I catch a lot of tuna on flukes, and here uh, in the Gulf, because there we fish two coasts. So if we fish in the East Coast, you could catch tuna, dorado, and pretty much anything that swims there. Even if you're lucky, like sailfish or whatever, on these flukes. Um, Here in the Gulf, trevally species like goldies, golden trevally, and these flukes like a 1 ounce head and a 5 inch fluke is probably something that kind of combination is like up to 2 ounce, because you can cast them with a 7 foot or 8 foot rod. You can cast them quite far and then work the bottom, and there's a lot of goldies that would just suck those up. The tubes, I've caught groupers and snappers on them here. So they're like soft plastics in general. Uh, the I almost exclusively rig most of my rigging. It revolves around the jig head. We don't really use anything else. So different types of jig heads, all the way to like really tiny. What do you call this? 2 3 gram. Um, what do you call this? 2 3 gram flutter jig heads. Holy crap! Look at this. These guys, like the states, has a lot of stuff that you could use. Problem is they almost always oversize everything. So when you're using Fireline, take for example, Fireline, by the way, is one of the most ideal um slow jigging line, or jigging in general. Okay, but for slow jigging, it's like probably one of the most used. But the Fireline that they have in Japan is obviously JDM, right? And it's very cheap, and it's very effective. It's super thin. That's why it's so good. If only they did the same in the states, it would be better. Um, yeah, I mean, and that's everywhere, Sean. you know, um, this is why tie rubber works a lot, because you can be anywhere, and then it just simulates squid, and then boom, catch a lot on tie rubber. Yeah, Varivas is good, but they don't make their own line. So it's a friend of mine is actually sponsored by Varivas. What the hell happened to his leg here? Okay, just a second. I didn't even know my dog is under here and underneath the my desk, and I didn't even know he had an injury. That's probably why. Um, I don't know why he got injured. Actually, it's his knee. Yeah. So Varivas is good and everything, Kevin, but they don't make their own lines. So um, it's like what do you call this? I mean, for me, if you're actually using Varivas, it's much better to actually go to the factory that makes their stuff, and that would be YGK. So that's that's something for you to actually think about. So that's why for me, what I usually recommend to people when they're asking about fishing lines and stuff, um, sorry, it's always look for the factory. Okay, so brands that have their own factories, YGK, Momoy, Suffix, uh, those brands. Okay, so there's a lot, but if they have their own brand and they have their own factory, what usually happens is that the line becomes more consistent. And my problem with Varivas, and I've met the guy who's who's actually going around, uh, and when he first started, basically the guy who's in charge of sales and marketing, when he first started with Varivas, this was like it's like 7 years, 8 years ago. So a new guy came in, and then he started visiting all the dealers and stuff. And one of the dealers is a friend of mine, right? So we were chilling out in the what's this in the shop, and then this guy walks in, introduces himself, and then he gathered feedback. Right then, I told him like, dude, you know what the problem is? Your brand, because you don't have your own factory. So you take from this manufacturer, you take from this manufacturer. Um, it's very inconsistent. So there are some braids that are actually really really good, and then there are some that are really bad. And the funny thing is that sometimes you think that you paid more for something and it works, but it doesn't. So we showed them like some lines where we actually tied knots, and then pack, they break, and then he was like, oh. So I was like, see, that came off my reel, right? So after that, I just stopped Varibus, just because I can't get the consistency I want, and I'm not going to be like an experiment, you know. So what I what I kind of fell into as a habit is actually go to brands that have their own factory. It's not because I work for Suffix and then I use, and I have a lot of Suffix. But see, here's the thing, right? Um, while I was in charge here, there were some batches that were actually really bad, and myself, just me, I took the initiative and said, like, listen, guys, this whole batch, we test them out, we do random sampling. I sent a lot of the stocks back and said that is messed up. I even told the dealers that there's a problem with. But see, you're working for a factory, right? So what the factory did was to actually manufacture and push the new stock onto, you know because you with the factory you can do that. Without a factory you cannot, right? So this is exactly what happened with Varivas, at least in my experience, right? The other brand is Momoy, and Momoy is really good. The what do you call this? The QA is actually really stringent. So each and every single time they send lines out, you know that they don't and I haven't really had a failure with Momoy. It's just, there's some lines that are kind of thick and all that, but that's also kind of the demand for, let's say, Momoy um, makes OEM for like other companies, and then other companies are actually saying that, oh, I want this, you know. So they also make braid within the same line, um, and the same thinking as some of the customers. So what happens is that they compete, right? um, so yeah, I mean, when you import from a factory in Japan, they actually ask you, do you want Japanese sizing or do you want American sizing? So again, you guys from the US, you be very, very careful when you're buying braid, especially when you're doing like something for slow pitch, okay, or what you guys call slow pitch. But slow jigging is very diameter sensitive. So always go with Japanese spec, okay, Japanese specification line, because it's thinner. What you guys have in the States is thicker, and that forces you to actually up the size of the jig. And in slow jigging, the smaller the better, because it's literally a finesse technique. So just keep that in mind. You know, a lot of pretty cool stuff here. Terminal tackle. There we go. So I'm just looking at the Berkeley, what do you call this website? What's funny now is that they're actually selling hooks. Before they used to not sell hooks, you know. So it's kind of, I mean, they've done this like, when was this, like a few years back, and I can't believe that this is the kind of offering that they have right now. It's crazy. Now, these steel leaders. This whole rigging thing. This is actually from Seven Strand, and they killed off that brand as well. They bought it and then they killed it off. So kind of unfortunate. X Tools also they bought out, and that's basically the Berkeley tools now. So too bad. They've killed off so many brands that were actually pretty good. Sibyl is one, and in Europe, Savage Gear. So I hope Savage Gear don't go in the way of the Dodo. Such a shame. Look at that. But they have tools. It's crazy what they have now. Like they even have this electric fillet knives now, huh? It's crazy what they have. The accessory line of what do you call this, of Berkeley, actually even before, was actually pretty good. Um, you know what? That would be nice to look at the really pen. I wonder what they have. So before, the URL for pen was pen reels, and now it's pen fishing. Kevin, because I was a lot of YGK for freshwater bass fishing. You used a lot of YGK for freshwater bass fishing. Is that what you're saying here? YG braid. Braid. There's no such thing as braid for freshwater and braid for saltwater. Braid is braid, and YGK is actually a really really good brand. I mean, they make their own. YGK is like up there. The X braid. I think if I was to use um, X8 for slow jigging, I would use YGK X braid. You know, um, instead of something else, because they managed the weaving technology that YGK has is actually really really good. Put it that way. Authority spinning reel. Wow. I heard that reels in the States went up by like $100 or something for some. That's insane, man. Uh, so the reels, okay. So the authority is supposed to be the what? The most expensive spinning reel that Penn has right now. Uh, it says here that it's like usually $719. Why would you buy a, like, if I was to spend 719 US? And look, okay, here's something that I'm throwing out there. I'm not throwing shade, okay? Um, you have Pen Authority, right? You have 40% off on the reels. It's like 431. Before it was 719, which means that at 431.95 or $432 essentially, they're already making money. Yet they're doubling this at 720 US. So if you bought this reel when it wasn't on sale, congratulations. You bought a $430 reel or less, right? So if you're spending 720 on a reel, why would you buy something that goes on sale for like literally 400 plus dollars, right? I don't get the logic there. Yeah, yeah, Kevin, it's like 15 to 30% they said. So but I mean, like, honestly, look at the how Penn is doing it, right? Um if you're buying a literal $720 reel from Penn, okay? That's the 10,500 size, you know? If you're spending $720 on this, why would you actually spend on something like this and then it goes on sale for like 431.95? Why? Knowing that it goes down that low in value, buy a Daiwa or a Shimano, because guess what? Even if they slashed it for they're not going to slash it that low. But this just tells you how much money these guys are making off of guys that are clueless, you know. um Kevin, exactly what I'm trying to say here, and this is why, um like, look, I came from this industry, okay, and I'm trying to get people to understand exactly what happens, right? And it's like, dude, the only reason, Sean, the only reason why they're actually doing like 30% or something like that, let's say at um, uh, a very ideal scenario, right? You'll get these kinds of discounts when there's a model change. But let's say for Black Friday and stuff like that, they're not gonna drop down. You know, they're not like that because um, the Japanese don't like it when their goods are put on sale. It's not their culture, you know. So it's I know their reaction when they see their goods put up for sale, or even you just change the price tag. I've changed. I've seen dealerships change just because of this. Okay, it's like one brand, you know. Sometimes they have people going around and stuff like that. Some shop actually puts some items on sale. Big mistake. You know, once the guy sees this, they'll be very polite, and then they'll say like, hey, listen, you know, can you please take our products off of sale and this and this and that. And there's a lot of ways around it, right? Like, take for example, you don't change the price tag, but when the customer actually looks for something, you could just say like, hey, we can give you a discount on this. But then it becomes kind of like a one-on-one thing, right? But if you change the price tag and show it publicly, man, they don't like it. Yeah, see here, the culture in the States is different. Okay, and this is why I'm saying in one of my videos, this is why I said that JDM is never going to be cheap in the States. Plain and simple, it's never ever going to be cheap because the pricing model that the Japanese are using are so different. And what do you call this? The business model, the basic business model. Okay, so like take for example, um, uh, let's pick a brand. Okay, CB1. Okay, that's a very good brand. Okay, so CB1, when they first got into the market, what they do or what they've done is actually go on contract for a distributor. Okay, and this distributor is something that's already in business for a really long time. Okay, now in Japan, remember that they specialize on things. Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, but I mean they're not able to do that unless the company pen itself actually gives them a break. You know, that's it. Unless pen actually authorizes them or gives them a break and say like, okay, for every reel you sell on your weekly special or your marketing allocation, we'll give you a rod. Um, it's not gonna happen unless something like that happens in the background. Yeah, Kevin, like you know, China is an entirely different story, man. Anyway, so in Japan, there are, let's say, companies like CB1. They make really really good rods. Okay, and they go to another company that specializes in selling. Okay, so they go to this company. They're brokerage houses basically, and they have like a huge clientele all over Japan. This is how JDM works. um, they have a network of tackle shops that they sell to, and they've been established for a really long time. They do nothing but sell, and they have a network. And then if you open a tackle shop, more than likely you're actually going to approach one of these houses, and there's like, let's say there's two or three that are really really big, and there are a lot of smaller ones. So they go to this company, and then this company uh, brokers a deal with, let's say, CB1. Now, uh, let's say you have a manufacturer's ideal selling price. Okay, so let's say you have $100 for the rod. Okay, it's not. It's like we're talking of big amounts here because the like especially for this particular brand CB1, it's not cheap. I mean, I have a $300 freaking stick bait from them. You know, like imagine a freaking stick bait. So if you look at their rods, they're not cheap. So G Loomis rods, some of the best American style rods. I think it is a very good representative of what American manufacturing could be. The problem is the business model in the States is, again, as I explained in the video that got me banned on YouTube, it's very different. Okay, so anyway, so um, imagine this one brand, they have a rod that's ideally for sale for like $100, and then they go to this company and says like, listen, you sell this rod for me, this is how much it's $100. Okay, I'll give you like 40%. So these guys that sell, they will offer all their dealers, okay, 30%, meaning they make 10%. And that's how business goes there. So if there are extra discounts that they're going to give, like extra concessions that they're going to give a customer, okay, it's not going to come from the brand. It's actually going to come off of the 40% that they agreed on. Okay, it could be 40, it could be 50, it could be 40, whatever percentage, but it's going to come off of that discount that they're giving. Now, if you go direct to the brand and say like, listen, I want to sell this into the states, in the states, Okay, I'm like Bass Pro Shops. You know what the brand would say? Talk to our export department, and they'll give you the company. So imagine Bass Pro Shops, let's say, would deal with whatever name of the company. Let's say the company name would be like Whale Marketing, right? Or Whale Enterprises. So CB1 would say talk to Whale Enterprises because they're our distributors. So Bass Pro Shops would talk to Whale and say like, okay, I'm determined to buy a shitload. How much would you give me? And then Whale would say, depending on how much you're going to buy, we'll give you 30%, at the very most 35% off of price. That's it. That is it. You know, that's why JDM is so fucking expensive, and that's why when people like, there's been subscribers that were telling me that, Kit, while we were at ICAST, some guys there actually said that wait till next year, JDM's going to open up. Like, these guys are talking out of their ass. They don't understand how business in Japan works, you know. So JDM is not going to open up. Now you have tariffs of like, it went up by 30%. How's that going to drop? You know? Yeah. So it's different. And if you don't understand the dynamics of how Japanese companies work there and stuff. Now, there are companies like, take for example, Owner, that have their own logistics. Okay? So basically Owner has like Owner USA. So that's a subsidiary of Owner Japan. So basically, what happens is that from when it reaches the States, Owner pushes stock to the U.S. And then in the U.S., they work with a company that has their massive network of salespeople, and everything works on commission. So they push, and bang, everything is. The problem with that model. The problem with that model is it's slow. Okay, this is why even if you have Owner in the US, the demand is for mostly the bass stuff. That's the biggest market, you know. And the US people, the people that are in the working in the office, they're like, what? Owner USA has 4 people in the freaking office, and guess what? None of them fish. So if there are things that you need for slow jigging, you guys have to make us a lot of noise because they're so reactive, instead of actually being cognizant of, oh, this thing is growing and stuff like that. you I mean, the only reason why you guys actually have some stuff for slow jigging in the US from owners because of me. Because guess what? I spoke to the freaking CEO and told them like, listen, dude, put some stuff in the States, okay? Accessories for, it's the only reason why you guys have some slow jigging. That's the truth, you know. And he was even laughing, and he was telling me like, dude, they're 10 years late, so that's it. That's the only reason why you even have like whatever bit you have there. It's because I had this conversation, and I helped someone, a friend of mine. I helped them like have like an order from Japan. So basically, went on the website, chose. It was a big order. He chose everything he wanted because I told him, like, have this one shot. So he made like a really big order, and I told him like, listen, you have this one shot, I'll give you this because I'll do you a favor. I'll talk to the CEO, um, and then he could arrange everything. Pay the guys over at the States. And that he was so shocked that it happened, but it did. So from there, the CEO actually had an idea that, oh, there is a market for something, but they're so reactive, it's crazy. Really hard to find saltwater tackle Japanese. I usually order directly from, and you know what? Sometimes it's probably good if you just order straight from Japan because it's such a freaking hassle. And most of the time, people in the States are freaking clueless. Like, take for example, I was actually kind of surprised when Someone asked me like, what do you mean by non-load bearing split rings? What? Because like for fast jigs, you don't need load bearing split rings because the split ring that you use on fast jigs are literally just to hold the jig. you know because the tie-in point for fast jigs is the solid ring, right? And it's a direct line from your leader to the fish, and you don't need a load bearing split ring. That's something that you can actually save on, right? So he was like, oh, and I was like, most of the split rings that you get in the States are non-load bearing, because the run of the mill split rings that you guys have in the States are weak as fuck. So they're not really like, and then some people think that, the more wire you have there, so you have like triple wired, and it's like, what? Just get good ones from Japan, you know? That's it, right? And I understand, guys, even hooks, but look, like I said, like, we'll see. I'm trying to help as much as I can, especially with my contacts. I know VMC has that already because I insisted before, and they kind of listened. So you have a bit of VMC there. Um, the 7264, 7269 are there. 7117, I don't think you have, but those are for slow jigging. And then for owner, they're slowly also starting to put in. Mustad has like these hooks as well, and in theory, you guys should have them. But I don't know. I mean, my contacts in Mustad, they're all like left. uh, and these things are so. If you don't understand, okay, the fishing industry is very territorial. Okay, so the division in the States is very different from the division in the Middle East. If there is the division in Australia, in Asia, they're all different. And Japan is its own entity. So, like, take for example, Rapala Japan. It's like Rapala Japan, even if it's part of APAC, Asia and Pacific. Okay, it's there's people governing it. It's different. So the people in Singapore are the ones that are governing Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, majority of Asia really, except for Japan. Okay, so and that is a different territory compared to Australia. People in Australia, like Rapala, Australia is totally different. And guess what? It's not only Rapala or Storm, Suffix, and all VMC. It's the same for each and every single company. Like take for example Shimano. Okay, so Shimano South Africa is in charge of the Middle East, but it's very different for Europe. Before, Europe was in charge of the Middle East, but they gave it to South Africa. Okay, so all of these, they have their own product line, because what happens is that they sit down, they have like what do you call this, a meeting, and then they say like, okay, this is my area, right? And then and then they would go, okay, so who's servicing the ordering? So for the Middle East and South Africa, guess who's the bigger entity? It's Europe. Okay, so Shimano Japan sells to Europe, and then Europe sells to South Africa and the Middle East. Hot tackle. I don't know them actually, John. I don't know them. I mostly deal with the brands, so I don't really deal with, and especially in the US, I am like zero when it comes to like the shops there, except Bass Pro Shops and all this, because that's something that I grew up with, right? um, Captain Harry's, Melton. When I was a kid in the 90s, these are already like places. Like, imagine this: the very first website I visited when the internet was introduced in the Philippines was BassPro.com. Think about that. And then the second one, Cabela's.com. So yeah, that's kind of like a habit, and that's basically how I grew up. So these hot tackle and all that, I don't know them. Um, Even with the brands and everything, oh man, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you guys just didn't, I mean, like, my God, um, at one time, I actually had a chat with the guy who's in charge of. Uh, Actually, he was pretty high up in what do you call this, pure fishing. And then I told him, like, hey, like the Middle East and all this, and he was like, oh, it's not our playing field, and it's too bad, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, the Middle East, and this is something that I actually told at work before, right? And they're wondering why it's strategically important, like the whole Middle East, why it should be taken care of, right? And I told them, like, three letters, guys: OIL. That's it. It's a small market, but it's a rich market, right? Like, people here, they spend, like, just to give you guys an idea, the density of Stella usage here is actually quite high. And sometimes the dealers here have more stock of Stellas than the actual Shimano branch. Think about that. Think about that. Like, the local dealers, okay, would have more stock of Stellas on hand than the place they bought it from. Think about that. That's insane. Because, like, dealers here, they would order from, let's say, South Africa, right? They would order, and when their orders arrive, there's still more orders that they bought Stellas, Saltigas and all that from Japan. So they have dealers that they work with in Japan, and it's kind of shady because sometimes, like, some dealers there, or the dealers there, are actually not allowed to sell to others or outside of Japan. But there are some shady dealers or shady dealings that are happening, and well, money, right? So you have, like, pure JDM Stellas that arrive, right? So this, like, Shimano South Africa would send, and the order's big. Let's say, like, 100 Stellas or something like that. And since it's a very expensive reel, they won't have a lot of stock holdings, okay? Because you'd be surprised that some distributors are actually kind of small, right? So the revolving capital that they have isn't as big as what you're thinking. Plus, a lot of deadbeats actually ask a lot of tackle from these guys, so they get hammered. So they're kind of forced to give away some, let's say, Stellas and all this, and these guys, they actually choose the best ones. Obviously, if you're getting something for free, might as well get the most expensive one, right? Or you try for the most expensive ones, and let's say they relent, and they give, and this is at their cost, right? This is at their cost. So if I had, let's say, if they had 151 Stellas, they only had 150 to sell. They already lost one. So they sell 100 to this guy, and then 25 to another, this, and then before you know it, they're out of stock, right? But guess what? The guy that received 100, then automatically he has more. As soon as he gets it, even if there's 50 that's left there, and sometimes they even go like, hey, give me that 50. And it's crazy. Now imagine a small market that can sustain sales just like that. And it's not just Stellas, you're talking about the place that's addicted to, like, Studio Ocean Mark, and that's easily double or triple the cost of a Stella, right? And you know that's that. So this is why, for us here in the Middle East, the sale of these goods are actually quite fast, and it's also the reason why the Middle East market has adopted to JDM gear and techniques faster than the US. It's the only thing. I mean, this has been happening since 2015. Okay, the boom of JDM, like from 2014, people were still using American stuff, pens and all this. 2015, everything changed. It's like it's like everything flipped upside down. That was when everything JDM boomed. And imagine we have a 10-year lead, let's say, from the US. You know, slow jigging has just started. I mean, people are fast jigging, and here fast jigging is normal. You can find like a 10-year-old fast jigging. It's normal. Like they would know how to rig their own tackle, choose jigs and all this. They know what how to put things together. You walk in a typical shop and you'll find walls of rods, walls of jigs, walls of assist hooks, and all that. So that's kind of the norm. In the States, you have a hard time finding split rings. you know and then there are a lot of pretender brands. And that's, I mean, I've spoken about this largely, all that. That's kind of difficult. But yeah, you know you guys are not having an easy time. I really wish that things would actually get better for you guys, because the fishing is good there, and that's the reason why a lot of these brands, the what do you call this, these like, I would say they are copycat brands. And whether they like it or not, they are. Because all they are is like, uh, they just copy what's available in Japan, right? So these brands, they exist, and they're kind of, yeah, they're kind of just pretending, you know. Um, and In the States, we have rows of treble hooks. Mackie, that's fucking funny, man. Oh man. Yeah, but I mean, it's actually very unfortunate. Yours is a fishery that can catch a bluefin tuna with a sinker. Yet you don't have like the right gear for it. So it's also the reason why these bastards can get away with it, because like if you try to do that in Japan, where the fishing is actually difficult, um, it's not gonna work. Obviously, a freaking sinker is a sinker, but there, you slap some paint on it, put some hooks, and it's an eddy bomb. So I mean, what can you say, man? The proliferation of this, just because it's easy, and that's it. It's just because it's easy. The fishing there is easy. But for a lot of people that think that it's not, dude, anywhere on earth won't catch a bluefin with a sinker. It's just there. And it's also funny for people to say that fishing there is difficult, right? There's a subscriber that actually says that, I he tends to forget that he lives in a place that's just blessed with so much good fishing. And yeah, but your gear sucks. And some people, they're blissfully ignorant, right? So you have people that are using like the rods there, that they don't even know that it's not like a proper slow jigging rod, and they go like, oh, this is so good. Because guess what, they don't know any better, right? And if you hand them like a real one, when they hold it, they don't even know that it's the right one, and go like, oh my god, this feels weird, because they don't know how to use them. All right. So like, take for example rods that have like a good recoil, like one of these, right? People there, but they see this, they go like, so what the heck is that, right? And then when they get to use it, they probably don't know that it's a proper one, and they'll feel as if it's not as good as the US made ones. So that's funny. Ah, man, the wind's still howling. The wind's still howling, and it's like uh, the hottest part of the year, right? So we're getting like 43 to 47 degrees centigrade. Okay, so hold on. 47 C and F. That's 117. So we have 43, the 109, 110 to 117 degrees consistently, like each and every single freaking day. So um, with the wind, this is funny. Like when it gets really windy, usually at around this time of year, that's when we get like sandstorms, right? So it's like you're in front of the AC, all right? So imagine the wind is blowing and it's warm, literally like in front of the AC, but not the front of the AC, it's the back, the exhaust. All right. So that's how it feels like out there. So if let's say I decide to just go fishing today, just go out, it's windy. Technically, it's supposed to be nice, but it's like you're at the back of an AC unit with hot air blowing. So that's why I can't. Right. So you know, I wanted to go like really early, but there's supposed to be a delivery for my visa be baking under the sun. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, um, well, when was this? Like a few years back, we would fly fish in this kind of weather, for milkfish, and that was fun. But you know, we would pick like take for example, there'd be like a hot spell, right? There would be like 1 or 2 days in between where the temperature actually goes down. So what we would do is we would pick those dates and we would go out. Like take for example, even if it's a work day, we would take leaves, you know, or exchange like a working day to a non-working day, right? So we just make arrangements with the office and stuff, and then we go like, okay, well, but most likely leaves. So take leaves on these specific days, and then we would go and fish these 2 days, and it's just a variance of 3 degrees or 4 degrees. But holy shit, man, I'm telling you, the variance, you'd feel it. And sometimes when we were walking the flats, okay, this is true story, and we would have like Columbia PFDs, right? PFGs or PFDs or whatever. So these are like really thin, but we would soak in the water, and we would be walking around the flats, and then we would happen across like a spring from underground, and the water's cold, so we would lie down, right? And then we would feel cold, and then when it's time to move, we stand up and then walk around and stuff. And this is with fly gear. So it doesn't matter if we have it submerged in the water. It's like those things, like if they're, I would say, like good quality enough, you could just leave them in the water, and then just wash them after, and then they're good to go. Those things are just built like that, right? But you can't do that with spinning rods and bait casters. Anyway, so we would be lying down, and then it'd be a group of us, like take for example 5 people, and we would find this cool water area, and we would be like, around it and stuff, and then we would stand up. Okay, by when we would walk to our fishing spot or look for fish and stuff like that, by the time, let's say about 30 minutes or so, when the thing's dry, it'd be like it's starched. It's stiff as hell, man. Because of the salt, right? So we'd be walking around, and then it would be that we'd have our forearms abraded from the salt, and then just the cloth rubbing. The worst is the neck. So that was insane, man. But we were fishing in this type of weather just to go after like several fish, and that's you know. Problem is the flat is closed. They closed access to that flat, so can't do it anymore. But we had fun times there. But yeah, I mean, there's fish in this weather, believe it or not. And guess what? Knee deep water. You wouldn't think that there would be fish swimming around in knee deep water in this kind of heat, in that kind of temperature for the water. We would actually say that the fish is like half stewed, because they're swimming in water that's almost as hot as stew. And when you catch them, you have dried fish. So it's crazy, But there were like fish, man. Like holy crap. Anyway, so going back to this whole JDM thing, um, like we're working with a few companies or in dialogues with them, trying to convince them to get into the US. As far as distribution is concerned, it's very difficult. Like take for example, the distribution for Studio Ocean Mark reels there is proving to be very difficult because like there's two official outlets there: Tomo Tackle and the one in New Jersey, Salty Water. Okay, but they're not going to bring in a lot of these reels and constantly will be sold out in their website, because guess what, um, if they actually buy the reels, they don't buy direct from Studio Ocean Mark. They buy from the from the sellers. And another thing about these sellers, by the way, they will email you out of the blue and tell you like, listen, the schedule of production for Studio Ocean Mark reels, let's say, would be in September. The expected delivery would be in January. How many of these reels do you want? Okay? So imagine they email you at around, let's say, June, July, to tell you that there's production in September. Okay? How many of these reels? So it is a commitment. So you don't know what the state of the market's gonna be at that particular time, but um, you know you have to if you want these reels. Now the only companies that would be able to do this would be the ones with quite a big capital that they can sit on. And in the states, this kind of, what do you call this, for this kind of business, it's actually better if it's smaller tackle shops dealing with this intermediary for or these distributors in Japan. But these shops have to be kind of liquid, you know? And then the shipping is another thing. So again, what's gonna happen now for those guys that are buying JDM outside of the US, um, starting the end of this month, additional tariffs are going to be levied. Okay, and also, if your reel is predominantly made of aluminum, they're gonna charge you up to 50%. So, and most reels are made of aluminum, so they're gonna charge you upwards of 50% of the cost. So, guys, if you're planning to buy before the end of the month. I think it's the 29th. The what do you call this? So I don't know if you guys know this, but a friend of mine actually got in trouble because of this. So there is a mandate from the government, because right now, unless it goes over $800, you're not going to get taxed. After the 29th, you're gonna get 50. Okay, so like take for example, if you're buying a reel like a Stella that's made out of, like a Stella FK that's made out of magnesium, it's probably cheaper than an SW Stella, even if technically they're the same cost. The SW Stella, because it is made out of aluminum, it will become more expensive. It's up to 50% of the cost. So, holy shit. According to the Japanese, holy shit. Holy shit. Anyway, so yeah. Uh it's Hagane. I wish it was like that, Sean. But guess what? A friend actually bought a Studio Ocean Mark reel, and he was made to pay $700. on top of the cost of the reel. So, effectively doubling the price of the reel, even if he had a receipt that says otherwise. So now he's trying to fight that, because it's, but yeah. All right. So be just a heads up, guys. Just a heads up. I'm not trying to like scare you or anything, but this is like literal. So if you actually hold on, uh, let me U.S. tariff for aluminum product. Okay, you'll actually get it. So in June, President Trump issued Proclamation 10947, which increased the tariff rate for steel and aluminum from 25 to 50%, making the tariff stronger than ever. Under the Commerce Steel and Aluminum Product Inclusion Process, there are 3 annual windows for the public to submit product inclusion requests, yada da da da. But this is in bis.doc.gov. All right, so take note. This is this is this is freaking big, because a lot of reels, if not majority of the reels, are made of aluminum or has aluminum in them. So imagine getting 50% increase just because the damn thing is made of aluminum. So like a reel like a Stella or a Vanquish would be cheaper, right, if it was made out of magnesium. So like it would probably be more practical to buy a Vanquish and an Xsense more than what do you call this? More than the fucking uh Stratic. CI4. CI4 sucks, man. Unless you're dealing with the smallest reels and stuff. Like you want to see like a really good CI4 reel? Hold on. Like this is the best version of the Vanford, right? Like literally, right here. That is the best version of the Vanford that you could ever get. This was before they changed the name. So like this is actually like super super good, And if you change the bearing on this, it's literally going to be like what do you call this? Uh, Vank, you know. And I think the really good thing about this also is the rotor. Now, if you look, um, this was before they actually introduced the smaller rotor on the Stella, but this already had like a narrow rotor. Okay, so um, the behavior of this when you actually change the bearings would be very similar to a Vank. You know. Hey Isaiah, that is a Stradic CI4. So before they introduced the Vamford, this was it. Because the Vamford is literally Stradic CI4. They had to change the name because when you say like Stradic, it becomes it goes into conflict with what do you call this, with the regular Stradic. And remember, this is the start of the Magnum Light, right? So it's two different lines, and this is a Magnum Light rotor. You can see right there, whereas the regular Stradic is actually a Core Protect or an X Protect. So those are kind of two different lines. So the Stella would be the top end model for the X Protect, whereas the top end for this, the Magnum Light, would be the Vanquish. So two different lines. Um, just for I guess their separation of branding and stuff, they made this the Vanford. But
Yeah, I mean, this is the best version ever, man. No corners cut, no corners cut on this, and even with the narrow rotor. So like when you actually use this, it's so different from a wide rotor reel. I mean, even the Stella, the newer ones, they changed the SWs. They actually implemented this there. So hold on. I mean, this dog is like he's trying to hump the other one. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys what's happening under the desk here. Okay, so these two are there, right? Right. So that's Strider, and this is King, and he has a diaper on. But geez, so chaotic because I'm trying to talk to you guys here, and then this guy tries to move around in a tight spot, and he's kind of pushing me out. Dogs will be dogs. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, um, we're talking about these reels now in a video. Uh, I have it only for like I think I haven't published it yet, but it's gonna be showing up to members first, and because we have this new series, uh, the Japanese ultralight saltwater 101. What is it? It's a Japanese or JDM style ultralight, right? So I'm talking about the rods, the reels, and stuff. So I've just finished the video for this, and you know what? The the next topic after the reels would be the line. I think this is the most crucial part. It's the line and the leader. I'm just gonna lump them together, but it's the line and the leader, right? And like this one right here. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this because I've used this. Okay, this is fluorocarbon. Okay, I don't even know if you guys have this in the states, like this thin. This is just a small section. Okay, so that is 4 pound test fluorocarbon, or probably like smaller. Okay, but look at my line. That is super super thin. That look, that is literally smaller than my what do you call this? My the lines on my finger. Okay, you can see there. It's totally different, right? From what you can get in the states. So even guys that talk in on YouTube that are talking about ultralight stuff, there's like a couple of guys, and I just shake my head because they have like some of them have Japanese rods, and then they talk about like, yeah, I'm using Power Pro. Like, man, you don't you don't know what you're talking about. So the one of the hardest things would be um, finding these lines in the states. There's Varivas, yes, but they're still thick. Now, if you let me do a search. International Amazon.com. Okay, so let's see. Momoy Oshikage. Because before I used to find it. Nope, not here. There used to be some for sale in the States, but they were so freaking expensive. Like very, very expensive. Like $80 a spool or something like that. Something ridiculous. And now you can't find them. Now you can't find them. But maybe in Japan. Okay, so Amazon International, Japan. There we go. Let's see here. Momoy. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna link it so that you guys can actually kind of uh, see at least what I'm using. Not even here. Look, it doesn't. They do not have this freaking line even in Amazon Japan. That's a problem. So that this is like a pickle, because most of my reels are actually spooled. Mackie, eBay, you know what? Maybe, you know, good one, maybe. But I'm 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 I am not. Uh, I'm not gonna hold my breath on this one. Okay, so because guys, if you actually get into this, right, this whole thing, and you manage to find this line, it will fucking blow your mind. Nope, not here. None. What the hell? How am I supposed to recommend this? It's like I hate this. I really hate it when this happens because um well, you know what? I'm gonna probably reach out to the guys in Momoy and ask them where you guys can buy. No, none. But I know that in Amazon before they were sold for like $50 to $80, and this is 150 meter spool. And most of my reels actually have this line because it's just that fucking good. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what it's used for, Sean. The problem is this is very specific. Okay, so I'm gonna take all six of the reels that I showed in this video. Okay, so these are all the at least the most important reels that what do you call this, that I showed. Okay, so um, okay, that's Oshikage. That's Oshikage. Uh, that's actually like a experimental suffix. Okay, Oshikage, Oshikage, and my most important reel, Oshikage. So like it's like this line just changes everything when you use it, when you find it, and when you like, it's just different. When I first saw this line, it was actually in Momoy's office. So I went there, I think Osaka fishing show, and then after a few months I went back, right? So I think, no, it was February when I went there. I think this was like 2017 or some shit like that. um I went there for the Osaka fishing show, and then they told me like, "Oh, we're going to be releasing something, this and this and that. It's going to be very exciting, and I think it is applicable for your fishery." And I was like, "Hey, you know what? I'll be back here in a couple of months." So I went there April, so February, March, April, right? And then I said like I was going to visit their office, so I went to their office, and I didn't know that they had like this whole thing planned for me. But I went to their office, and then they said like, "Kitsan, look at this. Do you? This is what we were telling you in the show." And I was like, "Oh shit!" You know. The very first thing I said is that we need a longer length, and they said we can extend it to 200, but not more than that. So I said like, "Okay, 200 meters, deal." And then they gave me a 200 meters pull, and I said like, "Yes, guys, give me more, because I'll test it out and stuff." So they gave me like five spools. When I got to Dubai, I spooled my some of my reels with it, started using it, and I was targeting other fish that weren't supposed to be for UL, and that's how it started, right? So several times I got spooled, but imagine being able to cast out, like really cast out something as small as this. Okay, so something as small as this, and you're able to cast out like a really good distance instead of actually like a toss. No, this is a freaking cast, man. You know, where's that? Okay. So I have like my Varivas rod. It's 8.6, right? Paired with this guy right here. Okay, and I'm telling you, it's like a mini sea bass rod, and it just it just changes a lot. And you know, if you look at these guys, they're on their kayaks, they're fishing the shore and stuff, and then you see them cast. Um, you know, you'd go like, oh, okay, that's like ultralight, standard distances. You know, like the distances that you get from rods like these, because they're shorter. They're like 6 feet or something. Um, but then when you use this line, you know, even with the same rods, you just cast out. You just go like, whoa, because guess what? That's exactly what happened between me and my colleague. Right when we were fishing, and we were fishing in an area where there was like constant pressure. Okay, so he was casting out and he was getting hit and all that. He was getting hit. Okay, he was getting strikes while I was actually busy reeling in, fighting fish, releasing. Okay, so and this guy's a pretty good fisherman. Okay, I mean he's like in a lot of videos and stuff, um, for the company. But see, you know, I totally freaking hammered him, and the only thing, we were using the same exact lures and all that, different rod, because he was insisting on using like one of our products. It's fine, but for me, I used my usual setup because I knew that the fish were like, you know, the bigger fish and the better fish and the less pressured fish were like farther. And with this line, I was able to get it. But see, that's the problem. I'm supposed to be, this afternoon was the schedule of me actually doing this video. But how the hell am I supposed to actually, you know, now? Because now we know that it's not on any of the places. So I am forced to just link to the website, not even a place where you could buy. So, you know, in your presence, what I will do is actually ask them. Yeah, I'm gonna send out an email, or actually, you know what? I'm not gonna send out an email. I am going to freaking message. So, uh, my phone's not here. Email them. Uh, uh, okay, so I'm gonna message them and an email, right? What time is it now? 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Okay, let me get my phone, because I want you guys to actually see that I'm messaging and like for real, so that I can get the information. Okay, so okay, so let me see here. Line. So the Japanese actually use line. Uh, okay. Yuko-chan, let me ask you a question here, because as you know, I have a YouTube channel, and then what do you call this? I'm recommending Oshikage. The problem is I can't find it in Amazon or even in eBay. So is there like a place in Japan where I could actually recommend viewers if they need to buy? What I mean, you know, how did they find the line? That's kind of a problem. I'm telling them that it's super good. It's one of the best that I've ever used and all that. And that's all in good because it's the truth. But there's no place on the internet where I could find it for sale. So if you could please at least give me a hint on where to direct these guys. Okay, so send. That's a problem. Every single time I talk about something that people can't get, I get irritated and I actually get bothered because um, it's it's not cool, But literally, this fishing line, it will change the way you see ultralight. It's actually quite tough for its size. You pull it together, it's so difficult to break. The problem is when you tie the leaders because it's so thin, right? And I have the leader knot actually uh, that I use. It is a modified surgeon's knot, right? And it works really well. But man, I'm telling you, it's uh, it's so small. It's very difficult. So I am not really looking forward to tying leaders and stuff. It easily gets sold out there. Mark, what's up? Yeah, I mean, it's that good, right? In Dubai, when they're stock, the smaller ones actually they sell out just like that. The thinner ones. I've actually looked on eBay. I couldn't find it. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead if you can. I don't think there's a ban on anything. Shopping, buying, eBay. So I actually looked for Oshikage. I couldn't find it. I, jeez, jeez, look at that. I couldn't even. Go ahead, Sean, if you can find it. You know, you have my permission. Because I can't. I'm getting suffix, sunline. But no Oshikage. So annoying. Because if I see it, if I see that link, then when I publish I make the video, it'll make me feel better, really, because I know that it's there. So I'm just gonna take whatever link you post and then actually use that on the video. You know. Crap. Okay. Can you go on Instagram and post it there for me? Or how did you actually find it on eBay? Because I can't find it. It's not here. So let me try eBay Japan. None. All the sellers are from Poland. What the hell? So eBay Poland. So those are 100, I think 150 meter spools. Nothing. I can't find them. Not even in eBay Poland. I wonder why I could not find them. That sucks. Thank you, Sean. I got it. Okay. Okay. Light gray. This is a new color. 0.01. There we go. That is it, man. It's 150 meters. See, what we have here is actually 200. So this is it. 3 pound, 1.3 kg, 150 meters. Yeah, this will work. So good. At least, I'll keep this link. Um, Momoy Fishing. Okay, so if you go to Momoy Fishing, right, and then you have your products, and then you look for Oshikage. Where is it? There we go. And then you'll find that it's actually like the color is green and yellow. So you have fluorescent yellow and moss green. And now it says that they have like new 2025. Okay, new for 2025. Yeah. So um I guess these guys in Japan would actually also reply, and we'll see what uh, um what do you call this. They'll tell me also. So but yeah, I mean, once you use this line, Sean, thank you again. Thank you very much. But once you use this line, it's your if you're into ultralight, it's really gonna change things. The next thing that's gonna be a problem would be leaders. Because like really thin fluorocarbon is very difficult to find, like good quality thin fluorocarbon. Uh, I guess you can get away with like the thinnest that you can go is like 2 pound or something like that. Um, for like if you're in the States, but that's like, you know, just the leader. The braid is the most important thing, right? Um, I usually use like 4 to 6 pound at the very most for my leaders. So the more specialized stuff like 2 pound or 1 pound or 1.75 pound and stuff like that, those are hard to find. But 4 and 6 you can usually find, even fluorocarbon. But it's the thinner stuff that's also going to be very difficult to find. But I mean, US has a lot of mono. That's fine. But I think that's my biggest problem. When I share these things and I actually talk about like the line, I don't even know why I'm not finding like Momoy Oshikage when I type it in. I don't even know why I'm not finding it. It's so strange. But yeah, it's it's good that I found this. Thank you, Sean. Very, very what do you call this? So when I actually make the video later, I can link this as an example. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna log off. Alrighty. I think I'm gonna have lunch and then see if I can actually go out. Because it's midday here already. It's been a pleasure being online and connecting with you guys. Alrighty. So I'm gonna leave this as a podcast in the channel, just in case you guys are interested to kind of backtrack and stuff. Um, I was supposed to actually rig these. Okay, so um, you know, I already have like a single here, and this is a very good swimming plug. And I wanted to actually also talk about the difference. This is very different from this and this, right? I would say that these two would be, uh, what do you call this? This is like the kind of like the same category. This, whereas these two would be kind of the same, right? These don't dive when they swim, whereas these ones actually do. And I was gonna rig them with assist hooks and stuff like that, but that's fine. We'll do it. I think I'll do it like offline or something. Alrighty, Sean. In any way, if I could help, just give me a heads up. You have my contact on Instagram. Alrighty. Hopefully soon, Barracuda will have the website online. So that solves like a lot of the issues because at least if you want the same type of stuff that I'm using, because the shop that I buy my stuff is Barracuda. So you know that. But like take for example, Sean, if there's stuff here that you need, right? I can put you through to the guys over at the shop, and it's just WhatsApp. So you can ask them whatever they have or whatever you need. Even this Oshikage, you can get from them, like 200-meter spools and stuff, and you know all other stuff that they have there, and they can show you whatever you're looking for. Like take for example, if you're looking for a lure, since it's WhatsApp, they can just make a video and send it over to you, or anyone actually, if you guys are interested. And that's kind of like 30% of how they actually do business. You know, um, so yeah, I mean, if their website actually goes online, and I think they're still working on it. I don't know what state is it's in right now, but it's probably gonna make a lot of things um, less complicated because it's literally one of the best stocked tackle shops outside of Japan. So there's stuff that you get there that you don't find anywhere else. You know, even the soft plastic selection there for like the JDM stuff actually quite good. You know. Anyway, so that's it, guys. I'm gonna end this now, and I'll see you guys. I think I'm gonna go online again late, like sometime later within the day or like in the evening because I'm trying to figure out a schedule. So I know that a lot of people are actually online at around 9 a.m. here in Dubai. At least that. So later on, maybe I'm gonna meet like some other guys, and then we'll figure out what the best time to stream is going to be, and then that's going to be the regular schedule, because what I want to do is actually stream every day. you know it's good for the channel because I get to interact with people and get to meet subscribers and stuff. Alrighty, that's it for now. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you later. Yalla, bye.